your sensitivity? What makes your antennas go up to say, wow, there is injustice going on? What? This needs to be addressed. Nowadays, we live in a time where people are turning their heads so to things we saw that the community of the city of Jerusalem were suffering. Nehemiah could not just again and could not just go about his regular day-to-day activities. He couldn't go back to living a regular life because he cared to. I ask you today, what are we caring about? Is there anything we're losing sleep over? And I'm not about losing our out. Is there anything we care enough to do something about it? Because normally we only care enough like things that directly affect us. And that's what I find is so powerful in Nehemiah, that the state of the city of Jerusalem, he wasn't living in Jerusalem. He wasn't affected necessarily by the state by the condition. So where about? What are the things that move you? What are the things that make you stand up and perk up on your seat? What are the things that makes your blood boil? And it's a problem if the only way to get our attention is to touch our things. And that's what Nehemiah teaches us. Nehemiah learns about the afflictions of other people, and Nehemiah cares. He feels compelled to do something about it. He feels compelled to do something about it. And I know this is a time of complete around the world. I know that. And I know there are people listening to me now that they may not be feeling very well, that are there right now, that maybe you're sick and you're listening to this word and you don't know if you're going to make it. I want to release a word of hope to you, and I want to release a word of you, and I want to declare and communicate via the internet, wherever you are, that the power of God may touch you where you are. But for all of us who are not sick, the question is, do you care enough? And they're saying, I'm not sick. I don't really care. I'm still gonna go about my day activities. I don't care this and that, and I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going, keep living as if nothing is happening. And the thing is, the church was not called to be oblivious. The church was not called to be oblivious, to be isolated from these issues. The church needs to care enough to do something about it. And I find it so powerful because Nehemiah felt their pain. Nehemiah felt their anguish. And he wanted to do something about it. And you know what? I wish we would all believe that we can do something about it. Because you know why sometimes we don't care enough? It's because we think that we can't do anything about it. We don't care enough because sometimes we think our actions are not going to produce any lasting effects. Nehemiah teaches us that if you care enough, we must do something about it. You know why? Because we can. We can. And that is the question I want to answer today is, what is the best course of action? What is the best course of action? The best course of action, what is it? It's exactly what he does. It's a simple message. It's a simple message. It's right on the last verse we read, which is verse 4. When I heard these things, I sat down and wept. For some days I mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. I'll tell you, when you don't know what to do, the best thing to do is pray. You know, I wish the church would understand the power of prayer. You know, Nehemiah could have done so many things. That's what we do sometimes when we are touched by a situation, when we are touched by something in our lives that has been destroyed. And that's what these walls symbolize. That's what the gates symbolize. When something in our lives has been destroyed, when something in society has been destroyed, when something in our communities has been affected, and destruction has come upon any environment that we're part of, we care about it, but sometimes we care about it enough just to complain. Nehemiah didn't complain. Nehemiah prayed. You know what? I wonder what would happen if we switched every complaint to prayer. Good God of mercy. Because we need to understand the best course of action is not complaint. The best course of action is prayer. So I wonder what would happen to your marriage if you switched complaint to prayer. I wonder what would happen to your children if you switched complaint to prayer. I wonder what would happen to your job? What would happen to your business if you switched complaint to prayer? What would happen? What would happen to your wife if you switched complaint to prayer? What would happen to your husband if you switched complaint to prayer? What would happen to the United States system if you stopped complaining about coronavirus and how it's changing your life and you started praying about it? What would happen? Well, that's what Nehemiah teaches us, is there is such, and that is one of the main tools the enemy uses to distract us, is the enemy tries to get us to a place where we focus on complaining and we forget about proclaiming the truth of God. Come on, touch your neighbor wherever you are over here. Yeah, the few people that are here, touch your neighbor. Touch somebody. Stretch toward your neighbor. And just tell them, don't complain. Proclaim. You know that? I'm going to create a new one. It says, don't complain, proclaim. Proclaim the truth of God. Try switching your complaints to proclamations of victory, to proclamations of. Try switching your complaint. Try complaining about it. Pray about it. Come on, can you help me preach today? Can you guys help me preach today? Come on, every time you have a grievance, instead of complaining about it, pray about it. Pray about it. Start praying about the things that